playoffs na po. Bawal magtira po ng lakas. Every possession po, kailangan binibigay po talaga yung best.
Important is muna, we focus on our next game. Adjust on the offense. And on a physical game, talagang kailangan kami mag-adjust. Kasi kung titignan nyo, talagang physical yung mga kalaban namin. So, kailangan namin pagandaan yun.
It is another beautiful day for Philippine basketball, folks, as we give you your continuing coverage of the 2023 Mpbl playoffs, coming to you live from the Caloocan Sports Complex. It is game number 2 for the Pampanga Giant Lanterns going up against the Marikina Shoemasters, with Pampanga leading the series 1-0. And there you see Archie Concepcion, the leading scorer of Pampanga in game number 1. He had 26 points against those guys of the Marikina Shoemasters. After Pampanga versus Marikina, we will proceed with Caloocan Batang Kankalu defending their home court for the first time in these playoffs against Pasig City in game number 2 of their very own North Division quarterfinals series. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. This is Mix Gomez at your service, alongside Coach Mike Perez and Mika Abisamis. Now, first of all, let us all together welcome Coach Mike Perez to our MPBL playoffs. This is his first ever playoff coverage in our league. And so, Coach Mike, I ask you this. We've talked about the talent level of Pampanga all season long. Their depth chart is just through the roof here in the MPBL. But in Game 1, was it all about the depth and talent?
No, I don't think so. It's just about everything that the other team is also executing. And speaking of Marikina, I mean, on paper, everything is potential. That has to be seen on the floor and has to be executed. The matter of winning all boils down to execution and how you show your stuff in a game like that.
Now, before Pampanga and Marikina will execute tonight, we have to find out the adjustments that they have made from their practice sessions. And that will come from our courtside reporter, Mika Abisamis. Mika, go ahead.
While it was a win for Pampanga during Game 1 of the series, it wasn't a big, safe win. Kaya sabi nga nila, isa daw talaga sa problema nila ay hindi mo daw talaga alam kung sinong gagawa dito sa Marikina Shoemasters. So for this whole week, they just focused on dissecting this organized system of Coach Elvis Tolentino. Para naman dito kay Coach Elvis, he did some new plays on defense at sabi niya sa akin, Mika, sisiguraduhin ko nakakain ako ng sisig sa Pampanga next week. Mike, Coach Mike and Mig?
Wow. Well, first of all, Pampanga Sisig is really something to look forward to here in MPBL basketball. But boy, what a bit of a prediction that was from Coach Elvis Tolentino, a testament to his confidence that has also dominoed onto his team in this season. Now, Coach Mike Perez will be breaking down our playoff bracket. What is happening right now in the postseason?
And boy, what a start with the playoffs last week. I was one of those who watched at home and I was a fan. Of course, you see that game, lalo na yung game ng Iloilo against Bacoor. Iloilo winning over Bacoor, and more importantly, today's game. It's 1-0 Caloocan over Pasig, and Pampanga having a 1-game advantage over that of Marikina. Those games you're going to be really watching out for today in the playoffs.
Well, folks, this is only a best-of-3 series, so if Pampanga and Caloocan are victorious here inside the Caloocan Sports Complex, that means they will meet each other inside the Franzigiao Convention Center next week. Now, let's break down some key players. First of all, it's the Spider-Man himself. We have to talk about him. His debut game for Pampanga, Arwin Santos, did not play as many minutes, only 13 minutes of play, only 1 field goal, but his presence on the court was definitely well felt.
Well, you could feel the veteran leadership of Arwin Santos, of course, definitely for Pampanga, but a little more minutes maybe getting used to playing here in the MPBL, and especially yung mga bagong kasama niya ngayon sa kanyang team.
Well, in the words of his opponent, RV Berjay, kapag nasa court si Arwin Santos, napapansin nila na mas ginaganahan yung apat yung mga kakampi, no? And so for RV Berjay, on the other hand, he really had to step up in game number 1. You see his season averages, he tripled that in game 1.
And it was a huge first quarter actually for Berjay, setting up that really good tone against the defense of Balti Baltasar, forcing Balti to come out eventually in the third quarter. But as things that game went on, things that's really just started to slow down for Berjay. But we hope today he finishes stronger compared to the first game.
Well, they limited Balti Baltasar to only 9 points, but he still had 21 rebounds, which is almost an average for him already here in the MPBL. So why don't we furthermore break down game number 1, the statistics in general. Coach Mike, what stood out for you?
Well, what stood out for me, if you look at the offensive rebounds, really, it's 26 offensive rebounds that of against 18 para dito sa Marikina. You'll show that stat later, but it was a big 15-6 run in the last 5 minutes of quarter number 3 for Marikina, which really closed the gap to 2 points, but things just went differently in the fourth quarter as 18 of the 28 points total, it was an all Archie Concepcion and Encho Serrano show, accounting for 18 of those 28 points in that quarter alone.
See the numbers.
Yep, again, pointing out the offensive rebounds, that really was the advantage. Marikina's got to do a better job of cleaning up the defensive board. Otherwise, we're still going to end up with second chance points awarded to Pampanga, and the points in the point void, 54 versus 26. Pretty huge and pretty telling in the result of that game, especially in the second half.
If I can go back once again to the rebounding story in that game, we saw 26 defensive rebounds for the Marikina Shoemasters. It's crazy to think about the Pampanga side having 26 offensive rebounds, matching the output on the defensive end for Coach Elvis Tolentino's squad. That's just very impressive from Balti Baltazar and company. Now, we do have 2 more players to watch out for in today's matchup. 2 shooting guards at that, Archie Concepcion and Joe Gomez de Leaño.
Well, Joe was really good in that final quarter. Really was the one who led that team, but Archie Concepcion, again, 18 points. Total, part of the 18 points of the 28 combo with Encho Serrano really coming from this guy, Archie Concepcion. He was really just very actively crashing the boards, going for those shots from the outside, and more importantly is the assist that he came up with. 4 rebounds, 5 assists to go with those points. Really pretty huge advantage para kay Archie, and really just, I guess, a better start hopefully for Joe in this game.
Well, Joe Gomez de Leaño did tell me that he was just really motivated in playing his first playoff game here in the Mpbl. On the other hand, for Archie Concepcion, he really saw a lot of inspiration from his teammate na si Arwin Santos. And now we turn you over to Mika Abisamis.
I'm with 2 of the biggest factors in Game 1 of the series, Joe Gomez de Leaño and of course Archie Concepcion. Archie, nanalo kayo sa Marikina nung Game 1 pero ginawa nilang napaka-challenging yun para sa inyo, no? Paano kayo naghanda para sa game na to?
Yun nga po, ang dami namin mga lapses nung last game. Nung training po, in-improve lang po namin is yung defense po namin. Doon po kami nag-focus. Yun po yung, wala pong pake si boss kung makakapuntos ka. Yung pinaka-concern niya po doon is maglaro ka talaga sa defense.
Archie, anong gusto mo sabihin sa mga Kapampangan na tuluyang sumusuporta sa inyo?
Itapin po, dakal pong salamat ka rin Kapampangan na susuporta. Sana po hanggang dulo suporta nyo, kaya po dakal salamat.
Maraming salamat, Archie Concepcion. Joe, there were a lot of frustrations on that day, but how will you convert that to get this win here today?
Well, it's normal to get frustrated, but I think a better way we would put it is that this could be our last game, so we would really give it our all and every bit of sweat that we have left in our body till obviously we have no other choice than to win today.
Given that, what do you want to tell the fans of Marikina?
I'd like to thank them for supporting us all throughout the season, and I hope you keep supporting us also till next season, and that's it.
Maraming salamat, Joe Gomez de Leaño. Simula na ng bakbakan, ibigay na natin kay Ken Pangilinan.
Magandang gabi mga kaliga! Welcome to the Caloocan Sports Complex for the 2023 Nexus 80 KBN Manny Pacquiao's Mpbl Season 5 Playoffs presented by Extreme. It's Game 2 of their North Division quarterfinals Best of 3 series. The number 1 seed Pampanga leading 1-0, taking on the 8th ranked Marikina. Let's meet the starters first. For the team looking to wrap things up tonight, the Pampanga Giant Lanterns AMG Free Construction. Starting at point guard, number 30, Rainbow Pinuya. Small forward, number 14, Jason Apolonio. Power forward, number 6, Louis Sangalang. Center, number 43, Allen Liwag. And at shooting guard, number 2, Archie Concepcion. The Giant Lanterns are led by Pampanga Governor Dennis Delta Pineda, assisted by Pedic Di Matulang. Team consultant is Alan Trinidad. Assistant team managers Ronald Dulud and Raymond Guevara. Team manager and owner is Aurelio A.G. Gonzalez III. Marikina Shoemasters. And now the starting 5 for the team seeking to tie the series. The Marikina Shoemasters. Starting at point guard, number 1, Jomel Landayan. Shooting guard, number 8, Teo Timaho. Power forward, number 77, Adzar Ujan. Small forward, number 00, Jason Strait. And at center, number 20, Mark Atabay. The Shoemasters are led by the counselor coach of Marikina, Elvis Tolentino, assisted by Raisal Castro, Monroe Quezon, John Paul Basilan, Jun Jose, and Francis Arabit. Team manager is Doc Rianji Pioquinto. Team governor is Leo Correa. Our referees
Presenting the starters for Pampanga and Marikina in game number 2 of your North Division quarterfinals series. It's Raymond Binuya, Archie Concepcion, Alan Liwag with Jason Apolonio and Louis Sangalam for Pampanga. And then we have Deo Timaho, Joe Melandayan, Mark Atabay, Jason Strait, and Adzar Ujan for the Marikina Shoemasters. Thank you for joining us, folks. This is Mix Gomez at your service alongside Coach Mike Perez and Mika Abisamis. We do have a treat for everybody today, and that treat is coming from our analyst in Coach Mike Perez, who apparently prepared some keys to the game for us in game number 2.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of things that considered para dito sa dalawang teams nito. As we start off with the starters, you don't see Baltisar right now starting for Pampanga. That's one key change. Another one is also Sangalang also is a part of the starters of the Giant Lanterns.
This is definitely a big change, and some changes as well from the Marikina side, as Louis Sangalam just scored inside.
Well, part of that change could probably be to let Baltasar get into the flow of the game and realize where he is, that he can contribute into the game.
Well, we do have a handful of Mpbl players who prefer coming off the bench. Sabi nga nila, bumabagal din yung laro, no? Kapag nagsisimula kang nanonood. There was a miss by the Shoemasters. Counter turnover. Nice pass from down low onto Adzar Ujan. And it's basket and 1 for him. Let's see what happened on that hustle play. Apolonio went down. He tried to get up, but Timaho was there to steal the ball, and he gave it up to Adzar Ujan.
Well, we were talking about the offensive rebounding of Pampanga, and part of it's really got to be about the hustle plays of Marikina, and this is one thing that they really need to see from them starting in the second quarter.
All right, so now let's go to our gifts from Coach Mike Perez. Keys to victory natin for the Pampanga Giant Lanterns.
Well, first for Pampanga, the keys to victory will be to have Baltasar actually go off ball. He's been on ball each and every time offensively. Kaya makita mo, naka 9 attempts lang siya, and he made only 3 out of that 9. And you want to have him do action off ball, which is really what happened in the third quarter for Baltasar. And he got what, 3 field goals in that quarter alone. One on a dive and another one on the dunk. Second one, you got to control the boards. Continue with having those offensive rebounds and getting those second chance points in there. And lastly would be transition defense. Marikina is a team that loves to run. You got to go back and stay in front if they're out there in the open floor.
Well, you got me writing some stuff here at the sideline just so I can note your keys to victory. Thank you for those, Coach Mike Perez. And so we will be evaluating those 3 factors later on. As Apolonio misses inside, Sangalang recovers. You just talked about rebounding for Pampanga. And there's a foul.
Well, major adjustments here, I'm thinking, for Coach Elvis also, because you don't have a Baltasar who you were thinking already had a plan for the guy, but now since the starting lineup has changed, you got to tweak it a little bit too.
Now, the keys to victory for Marikina.
Well, para naman sa Marikina, the first one is you got to stay on Baltasar. That point worked really well, giving him only 9 field goals and 3 makes. And, you know, you got to stay with that. Keep on him. Do not help out if your man is Baltasar. Stay on the big man each and every time. And then, of course, you also got to secure the defensive rebounds. Yan yung naging problema nila. Kaya mataas yung offensive rebounds nitong Pampanga in that game. They weren't able to secure the defensive rebounds. Defense always has to end with a defensive rebound. If you give it up, that second chance points are the other way. And lastly, big makes and make threes. When I say big makes, since Baltasar is actually camping inside the restricted area, he's not closing out to shooters. So the big men in Atapay, even RV Berger, and other guys who can shoot it from the outside, you got to shoot it and you got to make it. And making the threes, you're talking about JGL, You're talking about J.R.R. Chavez too, hitting those threes from the outside.
Well, you might even want to include Mark Atabay in that conversation, who shot the ball 1 out of 11 from the field in game number 1, but he definitely worked on a shot this past week.
Tsaka malaking bagay, Mix, yung big men that actually can shoot from the outside, especially if they're the ones being defended by a Baltazar.
Now, this assist is brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming. That came from Mark Atabay. Feed inside onto Jason Strait.
And si Coach Elvis, he loves those split actions right there on the underneath, a little bit of pin down, creating a little bit of confusion. Who would cover who, and eventually Strait was right there in the middle.
The score now is 6-4 after that conversion by Archie Concepcion. We have 7 minutes and 45 remaining in the opening frame. There's a dribbling violation, and Jason Strait didn't even know about it.
Yeah, he thought there was going to be a contact hold on Archie, and he's down on the floor.
Now Archie, this is a bit sad to say, he's used to these types of contacts in the Mpbl. A highly physical guy he is, which is also a testament to his toughness. Gotta love that from Archie Concepcion. He did tell me before this game that he is driven by pressure. And we all know that some people are really made to have that type of character. That's why Archie has had this story of rising up to fame here in the Mpbl, even though he didn't have as many minutes in his college days, as now a charge was called on Luis Angalang.
Pero makikita mo in the way Archie actually responded in that first game, they weren't getting so much out of the big man Baltazar, and he decided, I'm going to take over, and he ended up with a season high 26 points on a 10 of 16 shooting from the field. And how good is that? That's a response of pressure.
Well, Archie Concepcion, as humble as he is, he attributes it to luck as well. Sabi niya, maganda yung gising niya, nakatulong nga rin daw, no, na medyo nababaan ni Arwin Santos yung kanyang pressure sa sarili niya, because he does have that tendency as well to put too much pressure on himself. Now, there's a foul. Away from the ball, it's on Deo Timajo.
Yeah, and it really matters that you make your shots from the outside. I mean, every time that you miss, there's high probability Pampanga's going to end up with a defensive rebound. And you know, these guys love to run. And so you got to go back and defend the other way. Otherwise, you're going to be catching up each and every time.
Pampanga did have 36 defensive rebounds and 26 offensive rebounds in game number 1. As Archie drives and kicks, Jason Apolonio. Ball stripped, out of bounds in favor of Pampanga.
Well, I guess from the early sets that we're seeing, this is so much different of a Pampanga Giant Lanterns team compared to the first one. I mean, a lot of ball movements, a lot of pin downs and handoffs, as opposed to the way that they started the first game.
Well, you have talked about the lineup being different. We did also see Encho Serrano in street clothes, as he is currently experiencing some over fatigue. Nothing too drastic for him. So we are expecting his return in their next game. Pass inside by Atabay, a bit too strong. That's out of bounds in favor of Pampanga.
And we talked earlier about that comeback by Marikina in the third quarter, running on what, an 8-9-0 run to end that quarter. That actually was predicated on zone defense, into which they converted in open basketball the other way, which is what they did that time around. Kaya lang hindi lang na-convert yung kanilang fast break.
Now the pass was too low by Raymond Binuya as he tried to find Alan Liwag. I can't help but wonder, if you're Governor Coach Dennis Delta Pineda, when will you put in not only Arwin Santos but Baltazar in this game? That was their 5th turnover already.
Yeah, very quickly them picking up those turnovers. That previous one really didn't have a chance because of the angle wasn't there and the pass was too low, and that's what you want to see on the big man. I mean, you're doing that without Balti on the floor, and do that again when he's inside too.
Great answer on the other end by Archie Concepcion. The score now is 8-6 with 4 minutes gone by in the opening quarter. Here's our matchup. Joe GDL versus Archie. Joe with a handoff. Adzar Ujan. He escapes and passes. Nice confidence level there from Mark Atabay.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say the same. Very confidently taking those shots. Unlike in the first game, he was really very hesitant, just trying to facilitate off the low block. Ngayon, tumitira na.
I had a quick chat before this game with Mark Atabay, and he shared to me that this past week featured the most number of attempts that he has ever had in his whole life of playing basketball. He just had to really get ready to shoot it against Pampanga, as now a foul is called on Raymond Binuya. Pasok dito si MJ Garcia, as this move is brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming. Archie Concepcion, fresh off of his 26-point performance in game number 1, with another layup using his right hand.
See, that's the different maker right there. You have to have rim protection. I mean, you don't have that big guy like Baltasar that would cover that restricted area on that drive underneath.
Nice steal and a breakaway layup for MJ Garcia.
And boy, MJ really played a really good game in that first match. Especially you see that difficult layup shot he did sometime in the fourth quarter.
He had 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in 29 minutes of play. That's MJ Garcia. Alan Liwag playing point guard.
Yep.
Turnover. Numbers for Marikina, but there was a foul. It's on Archie.
And I guess at that point he realized I'm not a point guard, so I'm gonna give it up.
I actually thought that the ball had a chance of going in accidentally.
Well, had he had a medium-range jumper, he would stop and pop at least, not forcing it underneath. Like I say, he's been doing a pretty decent job in lieu of Balti Baltasar starting for the Giant Lanterns.
Right now it is Zome Landayan who is at the stripe. Landayan in game number 1 only played 5 minutes and took 1 attempt. He was scoreless. This is his first trip to the stripe in this series. Landayan is known as a defender for Marikina, but there have been talks about him exploring his offensive side on the court. And you can just imagine, if he becomes a threat for the Shoemasters, what a luxury it will be for Coach Elvis Tolentino.
And what a good way to learn also from J.R. Chavez. I mean, he's also same build, playing the same position. I mean, what a way to be doing a tandem with him and improving your game.
Score now is 12-8. With under 5 minutes to go in the opening frame. Here's Archie working with JB Bahio. Concepcion with 6 on the shot clock. Here's MJ Garcia. Met by Landayan. Double cross. MJ with a pull-up. That's short. Rebound to Pampanga. Tolentino gives it up. That's Liwag who misses. Scramble inside. Tolentino just going at it with Mark Atabay. And yes, to your point, control the boards.
Yeah. Again, it's defensive rebounds that's got to end a defensive stand. And if you don't, you're giving the other team a chance to get more points in and get another attempt quickly.
Now Balti will come in for the first time for Alan Liwag. Eloy Tan also has checked in for Marikina. So Balti is being joined by JB Bahio with Archie Concepcion, MJ Garcia, and Neil Tolentino. On the other end, it's RV Berjay working with Jason Strait, Joe Gomez de Leaño, Eloy Tan, and Mark Atabay. Good hands by Bahio. JB going all the way for 2.
And Berjay's gonna be beat in the open floor in that situation. Is just letting that ball go in the open floor.
Score now is 12-10. Jason Strait hands it off. Mark Atabay. There's the attack. Another great defensive sequence by JB. Tolentino attacks and feeds. Bahio on the reverse. And that's 2 more points for JB.
Bahio's making a good case for himself. I mean, making himself available offensively and working his best defensively too.
Bahio actually played 12 minutes in game number 1. Scored 4 points with 7 rebounds to his name. That's really impressive for a guy who came in late to this Giant Lanterns program in the season. 12 all. Balti Baltazar. Lefty layup is good.
Remember that time when we said that the best fast break for Makati OK Bet is you have Rob Celis and Eman Calo on the floor? It's the same thing, Archie Concepcion and Balti Baltasar. Wala pa si Ento Serrano.
Atabay misses on the other end. Bahio is now playing point guard. JB bumping his way through. Bahio scores. Basket and 1.
Boy, 6 straight points for Bahio. He's 3 out of 3 on his last 3 attempts. And more importantly, he's bringing the ball strongly upward and not letting it go.
We've talked about versatility all season long for these Pampanga Giant Lanterns. Ito naman yung kanilang characteristics. No? Even Balti Baltazar can play the 3 position. So I'm sure this is no surprise as well for a lot of people seeing JB Bahio running the break.
Right. And I think that's the most difficult cover. You have Balti Baltasar running off ball, full steam ahead, and in fast break.
Na tayo, full steam ahead din tayo. Papunta kay Mika Abesamis.
Lack of manpower is, I guess, one of the most obvious problems of the Shoemasters. Towards the 3rd and 4th quarters, kahit si Coach Elvis admitted that nakita niya talagang pagod na sila nung first game dito sa series na to. So he adjusted, did some new plays on defense for this. He also made sure he did not only focus on Balti and Encho, which he was able to contain in game 1. Archie has been playing really well also. Pero bilib daw siya sa coaching ni Gov Delta because yung ibang teams daw na binibigyan nila ng challenge, bumibitaw sila. They stayed composed. Magbabalik po ang Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League.
Ating batiin ng Gonzalez family, of course, with AG Gonzalez leading the way as a team owner and manager of the Pampanga Giant Lanterns. Senior Deputy Speaker Congressman Don Gonzalez, shout out to him as well. Magandang gabi po sa inyo. And we hope that you are enjoying your Mpbl action here in Caloocan. The score reads 19-12 in favor of Pampanga. And now RB Verjay just airballed that shot.
Well, momentarily, you could feel that medyo hindi komportable yung Marikina in that last offensive set. I'm sure it was something that I had to work around on leading up to that missed shot by RB Verjay. But boy, that middle lane continues to be open, mix.
That's coast to coast for MJ Garcia. Extending the lead to 9 points despite the slow start of Pampanga. Here they come again, Coach Mike.
Yeah, and mas concerning dun is yung bola galing sa kabila. There was no stop ball at all defensively para dito sa Marikina.
5 on the shot clock for Anthony White. White in trouble. Fade away. That's too strong. Rebound. Eloy Tan just working against JB Bahio. It's a jump ball in favor of the Shoemasters.
And Coach Elvis desperately needs J.R. Chavez right now on the floor. He's got to settle down. You know, they've been taking too long on the shot clock. People are not moving around as intended. And so you got to switch up the man. Right now, JR's on the floor.
I have a two-part question. Number one, are you seeing flow on the side of Marikina? Yes or no?
No.
And number two, will you attribute that to the lineup change of Pampanga?
Could be. It threw them off course because you actually have a plan already for Balti Baltasar and you didn't expect that change.
At nag-domino na lahat.
Yeah, domino na lahat. I mean, Atabay didn't know how to cover the other guys.
Here's Azar Ujan looking for a teammate. Now the ball is with J.R. Chavez off of the double cross. No basket. Rebound, JLC.
Well, just credit the defense of Pampanga right there. You switched point guard, but J.R. Chavez still continued to have the same experience, the difficulty of setting up his team offensively on that side of the floor.
There's a foul on the other end by Anthony White on the attack by John Lloyd Clemente. And there you see Governor Coach Dennis Delta Pineda. Batiin din natin sina City Councilor Brent Gonzalez, Senior Board Member Mika Gonzalez, Mayor Ding Gonzalez of Mexico, Vice Governor Lilia Nanay Pineda, Board Member Marlene Pineda, Mayor Philip Nugget of Minalin, Pampanga, and Athletic Sports Apparel. Magandang gabi po sa inyo. These people are behind the program of Balti Baltazar and these Giant Lanterns who are number 1 in the Mpbl coming into the playoffs, and now they're leading by 12.
At ang mas concerning niyan, kung ikaw ay Marikina, you actually allowed an offensive rebound for Balti Baltazar. Shouldn't be the case. That's almost an assist to the guy.
One of these Shoemasters even told me that Balti's scoring is not even the main concern anymore. It's his rebounding. There was some commotion inside. Even Neil Tolentino tried to get some of the action, which might not have been necessary anymore.
But I think really that boils down, Tolentino running boils down to the bonding of the team of Pampanga. I mean, you know, you're leading, but you have that care for your team and showing support.
This is not just team bonding. This is familial bonding already for these Giant Lanterns. Dahil nakakababata yung mga yan. See what happened on the push by Ujan. It completely threw off MJ Garcia. And then, watch out for Neil Tolentino. Wala pa siya sa picture. Ayun, no? This game raging in. Buti na lang, dumiretso siya sa referee.
In fairness to him.
There's the push. Bumawi ba si MJ? Bit hard to see.
Hindi. Mukhang wala naman. But dun sa rebounding action, kita mo, obviously the number 1 rebounder is Balti Baltazar, but there was nobody checking on him.
Balti does average 17 rebounds per game.
John penalty. That is first. Warning on number 8, Neil Tolentino for unsportsmanlike behavior.
So it's a foul on Adzar Ujan. At ayan na nga, may warning si Neil Tolentino. You can't just charge like that.
Right. Actually, right now, ang Pampanga continues to be leading the rebounding department, 12 versus 4. But this time around, unlike in their first game, they convert that to second chance points. Now they're converting that into fast break. They actually have 11 fast break points coming off those rebounds. The only second chance points that came in was that offensive rebound by Balti after that missed free throw.
To your point about 11 fast break points, Pampanga had 21 in game number 1. So they're well on pace to surpassing that output as MJ Garcia converts from the stripe. He has definitely worked on his shooting throughout the years here in the Mpbl. And you gotta love the humility as well from this guy. Kasi hanggang ngayon naaminin niya wala pa siyang shooting eh. Pero ang sasabihin naman ng kanyang, or at least one of his best friends na si Archie Concepcion, grabe daw talaga yung work ethic ni MJ. Jason Strait was fouled. That's 2+1.
I was gonna say I always have had this thing for players who are lefties. Other end, Jason Strait. Difficult layup.
No, MJ Garcia and then Jason Strait, both left-handed players. Well, it's unorthodox, unconventional to the eyes of the people. And so it's a bit more pleasing. Actually, meron nga ring psychology sa basketball na mas mahirap din bantayan, no?
Right.
Mga kaliwete.
Agree.
John Lloyd Clemente. He was blocked. Recovery for Tolentino. No basket for Neil. Down to 6 seconds. MJ Garcia attacking. Garcia turning around. Tough shot. That's short. Put back for Balti to beat the buzzer. Well, you did talk about rebounding as a part of your keys to the game. Not only for Pampanga, but for Marikina as well in this matchup.
Man, defensively, you got to end that with a defensive rebound. And you cannot allow, especially with the number 1 rebounding guy in the league, to be there in the paint and just catch that ball and put it back in.
Again, in game number 1, Marikina was able to limit Balti to only 9 points. But he did have 21 monstrous rebounds, 5 of those coming on the offensive end of the floor. He did not start in this game, but Pampanga has a good-looking lead for themselves, 28-15 after 1. We are back inside the Caloocan Sports Complex for game number 2 of the Pampanga Giant Lanterns against the Marikina Shoemasters. The Spider-Man himself, Arwin Santos, will now be appearing for the first time on the court in this game. He played 13 minutes in game number 1 and only made 1 shot. That was actually at the buzzer of the 4th quarter. But I'm sure everybody will still take those 3 points. First quarter field goal shooting natin.
Well, you see there, 11 out of 20 versus 6 out of 15, and a lot of that 55% shooting really comes from less defended shots and offensive rebounds.
Coach, you have to mention it. Our rebounding story so far.
Oh yeah, grabe. It's 16 versus 4, and think of it. Baltasar came in the game halfway through.
Yes.
Right, in the first quarter, and still you're down by 12 rebounds.
Kita mo naman si Governor Coach Dennis Delta Pineda, relaxed at the sideline. Encho Serrano is out in this game because of over fatigue, but he will be good to go in the next Pampanga outings. That might be against Marikina, or it may be against either Pasig or Caloocan.
Right.
Joe Gomez de Liano, that's short. Rebound, Balti. Pang-ilan niya na yan? That's Balti's 4th board to go alongside his 6 points.
Yeah, but Mark Atabay, when he gets twice already, he's got that rock on the elbow area. He's got to find where that defense is coming from. I mean, kung nakasag si Balti, you have to make him pay. You have to take that shot. You just can't wait for, runners and cutters to be passing you by. You have to see for yourself, because you and yourself is already a threat offensively if you're not defended.
Well, that's the game plan for Marikina all week long. Atabay has been working on his shot. But can it actually pay off tonight, as now we look at our rebounding story. A plus 14 for the Giant Lanterns. Joe GDL scores inside.
Sana kung Marikina ka, masasabi mo sana kaya mababa yung rebounds namin because we're efficient on the field goals, but that's not the case.
That's 37% shooting for Marikina as compared to the 55 of Pampanga. Cut
there
inside.
You go.
Nice feed. Good finish by JLC.
That was one thing actually they were exploring in the first game. For Baltasar to start facilitating not on the low block, but on the elbows, on the higher side, because he sees cutters, gives him better vision on those guards moving.
Remember, Baltasar averages close to 5 assists per game. At some point in the season, he was in the top 10 of the Mpbl in that category, as that's Mark Atabay, scores on the mid-range.
Well, 2 things right there. Balti sagged off him. Second, that's his favorite spot. So you got to take it automatic.
It's going to be a long night again for Mark Atabay. Let's see if he can continue draining his jumpers. There's a foul. It's on Joe GDL.
And when you look at it, the way that they played that first game really was different for Marikina.
This assist is brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming. It's life being a lot easier for Baltasar. He didn't have to move a lot. Just found cutting John Lloyd Clemente.
Kanina Marikina ang gumawa nun. Favorite play ni Coach Elvis yan, yung mga split plays. Right there. At Pampanga naman na nagpakita ng ganong scheme.
MJ Garcia, good defense by Jome Landayan. But Pampanga will keep possession as RV Berjay checks back in.
And MJ likes that matchup with Landayan. He feels he's got length and height and even body strength too, so he can go inside and bang bodies before he goes for those attempts.
Shot clock winding down. That's no good for JLC. And here comes Jason Strait. Jason on to Joe. GDL. That's off to the left. Ball rebounded by no one. Out of bounds in favor of Pampanga.
And so sometimes when you're a shooter, 50% of that is really mental, 50% is motor. And if you're not seeing that ball go through the net as much, medyo napapaisip-isip ka na rin when you take those shots from the outside, even if you're free.
Well, that wasn't the case for Joe GDL in game number 1.
Right.
He hit 5 threes out of 12 attempts and scored 22. There's a miss on the other end. And here comes Jome Landayan. Forward pass. Straight. Could not control the ball.
Tsaka crucial yung mga puntos na yun ni Joe GDL in that. Again, those 17 points actually came in the second half. And so that was pretty big. Lalo na he went 5 out of 12 from 3.
if we can go back to Mika's report about the depth of Marikina, makikita mo yun sa box score eh. Because they do have a handful of players who in the plus-minus, they were in the positive. Which means when they were in the court, Marikina was winning as Balti Baltazar scores inside. But then their teammates had big negatives.
Right.
Sayang lang.
Yeah, yun yung in a way parang brought them down, matak sa kanila. But again, you're seeing Balti moving off the ball and he's getting better shot opportunities.
Here's Jason Strait. He misses. Rebound Binuya. Score is 32-19. The biggest lead was 14. Balti operates and he got fouled again. He is number 1 in the league as expected in fouls received per game.
Well, he just commands so much attention, especially as he starts that dribble that close.
See what happened there. Nice speed by Neil Tolentino onto Balti Baltazar, who in this game is well on pace to reach double figures. He now has 9 points. Balti had 9 points as well in game number 1 with his 21 rebounds and 7 assists.
And so far he's got how many attempts already? Against 4 or 5 attempts already in the game. He had 9 the entire game in the first match.
And that's after starting this game off the bench.
Right.
10 points, 4 boards now for Balti. Timaho makes that 3.
And boy, Coach Helb is going to need more of those shots coming in. And that's actually the first 3-pointer of Marikina, if I'm not mistaken.
And they made 11 in game number 1. Balti on the pick and roll.
And again, not on the ball, off ball movement, either rolling, pinning down, or cutting from the back.
36-22. How about the points in the paint? As Timaho scores in the paint. So it's now 28-10. The scoring in that covered area. Arvin Santos slowing things down. Just like what he did in game 1. Then he just fired that 3.
Casually, huh?
Yeah. The chillest 3-point shot in the season. As Balti, yan, hindi chill. Yeah, got fouled inside.
Actually, yan ang ginawa nila in game number 1. If Balti gets the ball on the low block or even on the elbow, it's going to be single coverage. But once he puts that ball on the floor, then the help comes. That's when the help comes.
12 points, 5 boards for Balti Baltazar, and he continues to be perfect at the stripe. Let's see if I jinxed that. In the previous outing, Balti was 3 out of 8 from the line, as you get to see, of course. A.G. Gonzalez, again, the team owner and manager of the Pampanga Giant Lanterns.
And I understand that itong Pampanga is also the number 1 rebounding team. And you might say, no, it's all because of Balti Baltazar. I beg to disagree because Archie Concepcion is one of the top rebounders as well, even Encho Serrano. I mean, if you have those guys on the floor at the same time, let alone Sangalang, then you got a rebounding machine of a team right there on the floor.
Pwede yung pang isama dyan sina JB Bahio,
correct,
Jason Apolonio at the start of the season, si De Leon, si Matt De Leon. 38-24, we have a timeout. Let's talk about the guy who's just waiting for his MVP award in the season, in Balti Baltazar. His numbers in the season and then his numbers in game number 1.
Well, again, that's not the normal Balti that we saw in game number 1. Very little touches. Those 3 field goals were actually off-ball action on a dive, on a dunk, and just one being a face-up. Those are the only 3 baskets that he made. And you have to credit also the defense of Marikina on him. I mean, and not leaving the guy, even kahit na siya na yung one pass away yung sa kabila, that guy's not gonna help and not gonna leave Balti on the defensive end.
In this game, by the way, Balti has only played 9 minutes so far, but he already has 14 points and 5 rebounds coming off the bench for Coach Dennis Delta Pineda. The score is 38-24. Almost halfway done in the second quarter. Chavez passes. RV Berge escapes and misses. Ball tapped and recovered by Binuya. Here's the team captain of the Pampanga Giant Lanterns calling out to play. Binuya onto Balti. Cross court. Apolonio. Pass inside. Arwin Santos could have shot the ball. And then he knew that he made a mistake.
Gusto lang niya pagbigyan siguro si Balti ng isang magandang assist. What a connection that would be. I mean, both very lengthy players, very athletic too.
I'd like to share a conversation that I had with one of my friends who's an Mpbl fan. He asked not to be named on air. And sabi niya, he's very happy to see Arvin Santos here in Pampanga in the Mpbl. As happy as he was when he saw Mark Pingris make his debut for the Imus SB squad, he definitely wants to see them face each other in the playoffs. But then again, that can only happen if Pampanga and Imus meet in the finals. But boy, if that happens, can you imagine the excitement for that game, for that series, as Arvin Santos, right on cue, scores on the break.
And boy, that's gonna be a pretty one to see both those players, Mark and Arvin, on the same game, even on a playoff.
Right now, it's Arvin Santos being able to lock that hand or that arm of Jason Strait. Medyo nautakan ng bata. 2+1 for him. And now we turn you over to Mika Abisamis.
May konting kwento lang ako. I just discovered that Coach Elvis Tolentino, a Kapampangan himself from Lubao, Pampanga, was actually one of the most determined point guards that played for Governor Delta Pineda sa mga liga nila sa province. Halos kasabayan pa nga daw niya si Arwin Santos. Kaya they know how this guy thinks and works. Lalaban daw talaga yan hanggang dulo. Migs, Coach Mike.
There you go. It's not as complicated of a story, but it is definitely well needed to be heard by all of our Mpbl fans. Coach Elvis Tolentino, shout out to him. Kaya pala, as a shot clock violation is called on the floor, kaya pala kapag kalaban ni Coach Elvis ang Pampanga, there's a different look on his face. It's not anything bad. And I'm sure that's his competitive spirit being risen up again.
And minsan ganun talaga eh. You know, mentors and bigger personalities where you come from. Lalo na pareho kayong homegrown ng Pampanga.
Yeah.
Mabigat talaga yan. Puts up a good challenge in you also.
Inside scoring natin, 31-10 in favor of Pampanga. Binuya will go to Concepcion. This is a zone, right?
Right.
Balti fires. That's too strong. And here comes J.R. Chavez. Arwin just jogging to the other end. Chavez, that's a charge.
Yeah, and he showed that left arm and was sold pretty well.
See what happened here. Raymond Binuya is also known for these types of things. Quick on his feet. So, that forces a timeout to be called here in Caloocan. It's now 41-24. For a premium experience and an exceptional stay, we present to you Boracay de la Ia, the official hotel and resort of the Mpbl. But today we are coming to you live from the Caloocan Sports Complex, which we are expecting to be jam-packed tonight because Caloocan, Batang Kankalu, there you see their tarpaulin in front of their fans. They will be in action against Pasig City in game number 2 of their North Division quarterfinal series. But right now, we get to see Commissioner Kenneth Duremdes with Satar Macantal, Emer Oreta, our head of basketball operations, with our head of security as well, in Rudy Distrito at the sidelines. It is Pampanga versus Marikina in their version of game 2 in the quarters of the North. Pampanga is up by 17 so far.
Yeah,
Archie.
and Marikina doing a 1-2-2, similar to how they did. I think that was in the third quarter of the first game. Did a 1-2-2. Once that ball gets on the wing, they try to double and get that ball out of the hands of that wing guy.
Off of that basket by Balti, there's a quick timeout at the other end for Coach Elvis Tolentino. Let's see first what happened. Raymond Binuya driving and feeding. Hung in the air for a while there, much like Spider-Man, his teammate in Arvin Santos. Pero binigay niya ang bola sa kanilang MVP candidate na si Balti Baltazar, who already has 16 points in this game. Timeout, 43-24. Back here in Caloocan for Marikina versus Pampanga. We talked about the flow of this game, especially from the Marikina side, starting in the first quarter. Have you seen any improvements, and would you attribute that to the Pampanga defense?
Yeah, and yan talaga tama yun. Yung Pampanga defense, really everything starts from there. Kaya lalo na pagka dumepensa ka, nakikita mo buong basket yung tira mo. I guess right now, compared to the first game, they're a little bit more faster on their feet and quicker and having more aggression defensively in this game.
Deo Timaho just made a three-pointer. He now has 7 points in this matchup. Timaho did start in the first frame over Silas Zabale, who did that in game number 1. Apolonio missing on the other end, and that's a foul on Jason as he tried to stop J.R. Chavez. Let's see if Marikina can build on a better flow now.
Yeah. Well, it was a different first quarter actually, because back then RV Berger was actually making his shots from the outside. Those 9 points were very crucial in setting up that momentum for Marikina in that first quarter.
That was in game 1.
In game 1, right.
Atabay missing, then he got his own board. 12 on the shot clock. GDL steps back. Good defense by Archie. Rebound to Arvin Santos.
Well, look at the luxury of Balti Baltasar having Arvin Santos on the floor. He gets the rebound. Balti wants it.
Backdoor cut on the other end. No basket for Archie. And here come the Shoemasters. They have the numbers. Gomez Deliano all the way for 2.
Well, I like that Binuya actually stayed home. I like that Joe also continued with that attempt, not hesitating, sensing where the defense was coming from. And since he knew that it was going to be late, he's the one who attacked it.
Well, Joe does have the hops for himself.
Right.
He has been known as a high flyer for most of his life. Here's J.R. Chavez off of the miss. Chavez all the way.
This has got to be the best streak so far in this game para sa Marikina. 4-point swing, both predicated on defense.
First 2 points for J.R. Chavez. The lead has been cut down to 13. Apolonio back up. Arvin Santos. That's his second Mpbl three-pointer.
And right now he's shooting 50% from the field on threes.
So that's a 3-point play and a 3-point shot now for Arvin in this game. 46-30. Deo Timaho attacks and pulls up. That's too strong. Ball tapped away off of Balti.
Well, a few possessions ago, I like that. You know how Atabay gets the ball on the elbow and waits for those cutters? Kanina, hindi na niya inantay. Tinira na niya kagad. Nakita niya si Baltis nakasag. Better decision making for the big men. Again, bigs got to make their shots from the outside if you want to win this game.
Here's Atabay, right on cue. And he converts.
Now, he's been pretty successful on that side of the floor. Twice already he's made those shots, and Balti continues to sag off him, having no respect for the shot of Atabay on that side of the floor.
Balti gets fouled on the other end. Mark Atabay, after shooting the ball 1 out of 11 in game number 1, he's now up to 4 out of 7, above 50% for the big man, as this move is brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming, the high flyer himself, in Joe Gomez de Liano with a bit of a jelly against Raymond Binuya.
2 steps in, you know he was gonna go for that layup as he was trying to size up kung anong gagawin ng defense at that time. And again, maganda rin yung dinepensa ni Binuya. He knew that he was already airborne. You're not gonna get an end one with me.
Free throw missed by Balti Baltazar. Balik tayo kay Joe. Stop and pop. That's short. Ball rebounded by Marikina initially. Good hustle by Pampanga.
Exactly.
Possession and numbers. Arwin Santos fires. Off to the right. The ball is loose. Forward pass again. Arwin with a steal. The ball's just flying about. 2 seconds to go before halftime. Chavez to beat the buzzer. That's short, and that will do it. What an entertaining way for us to end the second quarter.
Yeah, but if you're Coach Elvis, you like that na lumalaban yung mga players mo on that rebound, at least on that last possession, and you really need your team to be doing that.
Well, we have to talk about the one and the only Balti Baltazar, who, even though he did not start in this game, he still finished with 16 points in 14 minutes of play. Look at that, 75% shooting as well.
And you got to give credit for him. You know, he's actually moving off ball. He's getting to spots that's open. And pag nakita niya naka-single coverage siya, downhill, you're not checking me, you're not stopping me. I'm going to finish right off the rack. And he's been very good at moving without the ball.
The score in halftime is 46-32.
Welcome to your Mpbl playoff recap. 2 games here at the Batangas City Coliseum, and we saw Gensan and Batangas coming away with Game 1 victory sa kanilang respective series. Gensan muna pag-usapan natin dito. Coach JV, 79-70 win over the Muntinlupa Cagers, and it was Jervy Cruz who stood out with those 16 big points all in the second half.
Yes, yung 3-point contribution from the outside. Spaced up talaga yung defense ng Muntinlupa. Great performance, and he also had a couple of post-up plays, crucial. Got him on the line, but of course, kailangan natin special mention nga, John Wilson played a great game.
Well, John Wilson had 13 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists, really pretty much setting the tone sa laro nitong Gensan Warriors. Muntinlupa came out of a 28-point deficit and cut the lead to just 6 sa dulo, but syempre kinapos sila, and there were some good games. Dave Moraldi had 12 points, and Ian Melencio had 11, and also Ford Rawaya, who instigated that mini comeback na hindi nga natapos nito Muntinlupa, also had 11 points.
But we need to point out the comeback that Muntinlupa had. walang threes. Actually, the second worst in the history of MPBL, 2 of 28. Let's not talk about that anymore. I'm sure Multitupa wants to forget about that.
Oo, no. And second game naman, Batangas City Embassy Chill coming out on top against the Imos SB squad. Ang nangyari dito, no, Batangas just not giving Imos room to breathe early on, and yun na, malaki na yung lamang kaagad, and they really took control up until the end.
Oo nga, yung talagang stifling full court defense nila for the 3 quarters just allowed them to coast na lang in the end. Pero yun, maganda rin ang pinakitang puso ng itong Imos team. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a tougher game. Probably aabot pa to ng 3 games.
Yeah, 17 points for John Baloria. He was the best player of the game. 11 points naman para kay Jexter Apinana to lead the way for Batangas. And also Levy Hernandez had some big shots near the end para ma-prevent itong comeback ng Imos na pinangunahan naman nito si Carly Lastimosa, who had 18 points, but no one else, no, wala na rin nakatapos ng double figures. So titingnan natin if Imos can bounce back next week in the series. So she shifts to Bacoor on October 17, pero yun na nga, no, that's it for us here in the Batangas City Coliseum. And tuloy-tuloy niyong suportahan ang MPBL and panoorin ang aming mga MPBL playoff recaps.
It is Fearless versus Formidable here in Caloocan, in Pampanga versus Marikina. Well, the Giant Lanterns, even though they did not start Balti Baltazar in this game, and even though they're missing Encho Serrano, they're looking good, up by 14.
Well, a lot of it really comes from how they started the game. Really threw Marikina off track with Baltasar coming off the bench and coming in only almost at the halfway point of the first quarter. Field goal percentages there, 50% versus 40%. That of Pampanga and Marikina respectively. Pero yung rebounds talaga makikita mo laking discrepancy. Plus 11 para sa Pampanga and plus 18 sa inside points and plus 34 in terms of bench points. I mean, guys coming off the bench, Bayo, Tolentino contributing for the cause of Pampanga.
Well, in game number 1, Marikina at least had that three-pointer going for them.
Right.
In this game, they're only at 1 out of 8, so it cannot obviously offset all of these categories that you are seeing on your screen. 50% shooting for Pampanga. It's just too high. Balti Baltazar, in 14 minutes of play, already has 16 points and 5 rebounds. Arvin Santos had himself a 3-point play and then a 3-pointer as well in the first half. As we break down our leading scorers, Balti with 16, JB Bahio has 7, MJ Garcia has 6, and Santos has 6 as well. Yeah, that's Arvin Santos. Sorry,
Yeah, Arvin.
I'm trying to get used to his name. Naisip ko kasi Adi Santos eh.
Adi Santos,
eh.
right,
Santos din eh. As we saw, Javi Gomez de Leano from Marikina. And their leading scorers obviously not as high as compared to Pampanga. Joe Gomez de Leano will begin the third quarter alongside Jason Strait. And they also have Silas Abale, RV Verjay, and Jexter Tolentino. Good block by the Giant Lanterns. Abale against JLC. Silas off of his double cross. He scores.
Well, a little bit more of open floor action right there, right there in the middle, driving that open lane. Medyo okay yan para sa side ng Marikina.
Well, at least inside points tayo sa kabila naman as compared to what we have been seeing in the first 2 quarters, almost all coming from Pampanga. There's Balti with a miss. Baltazar's being joined by Neil Tolentino, Luis Sangalang, MJ Garcia, and John Loy Clemente. Was that a foul or a jump ball? Looks like it's a foul on Jexter. This move is brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming. Silas Abale, who started in game number 1. In this game, that's his first attempt from the field. This is his first appearance. He did not play in the first 20 minutes. 46-34, Jason Strait against MJ Garcia. The handoff to Joe. One more handoff. 12 on the shot clock. Zabale. There's the screen by Verjay. Silas leans in and kicks out. Jason Strait is blocked by Sangalang. 2 on the shot clock. Verjay, that's an air ball. Recovery for RV. And it is a shot clock violation. Coach Elvis Tolentino, the former player of Governor Coach Dennis Delta Pineda, is unhappy about a certain non-call. But he won't be favored by referee Alan Manzano. Balik tayo kay MJ Garcia against this zone of Marikina. Tolentino working with Balti. Baltazar just towering over everybody from the middle. There's a warning on Luis Sangalang. As now Marikina has possession again, down by 14. Here's Silas Zabale on to Jason Strait. Up top, it's Jexter Tolentino working with Jason. 10 on the shot clock. Zabale against MJ. Where will Marikina go? 4 seconds. Joe GDL will fire. That's short. Rebound Jexter. Tolentino is fouled. And Balti thought that it was clean on his defensive sequence. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Yes, Governor Coach Dennis Delta Pineda with Encho Serrano wearing street clothes. Encho is, again, experiencing some over-fatigue. Tinrangkaso din ng onte. But he's good to go for their next game.
Kanina we were talking about the flow of itong Marikina. Well, medyo may nakikita kang a little bit of improvement. Kaya lang kanina yung stagger nila, I feel the stagger was too low and so the defense was already there. You have to have your stagger a little bit higher so that medyo stretch ng konti yung depensa mo when they close out.
Speaking of the flow, I did talk to Eloy Tan about it during halftime. And he said, actually, it wasn't more about the starting five of Pampanga. It was when the bench players came in. And mind you, Eloy Tan was a part of that second unit.
Right.
He is taking full responsibility alongside his teammates, but he also told me that we are wired to bounce back. We will keep on fighting. Definitely that is the case in this matchup as now we break down the keys to victory for the Pampanga Giant Lanterns. The update natin with the evaluation of Coach Mike Perez.
Yeah, we start off ball, Baltasar. Well, you see Baltasar coming off with 12 points. All those actions really coming off ball, except for that one where he drove in the middle. But everything else, really him coming from the weak side and waiting for that ball to reach him. And control of the boards, well, you saw the numbers already. It was, what, 28 versus 18 in that halftime alone. And really, you got to be able to control a little bit better. Mas lalo na after shots are made. And you have to have defensive rebounds to end the defense. And then lastly, transition defense. Boy, they're limiting Marikina to only 6 fast break points altogether. Keys to that will be the rebounds and transition defense by nitong Pampanga Giant Lanterns.
And so, as expected, 3 out of 3 for Pampanga as of halftime. We still have a long way to go with 2 on the shot clock now for Marikina. 17 minutes of action remaining in game number 2. RV Berjay fires and misses. And now we break down the keys to victory. We update Marikina's list as Neil Tolentino scores basket and 1.
Well, yung Marikina naman on the keys to victory. First, we talked about staying on Balti. Well, obviously they didn't. No, Balti was able to score 12 points. They didn't do a good job of staying on Balti. They just allowed him to roam inside and find those open spots on the floor where he scored comfortably. And then secondly, we said that Marikina should be able to secure the defensive rebounds, which they didn't. They really got out-rebounded all throughout in the first half. And then lastly, we talked about the big makes and make threes. Well, the big make really is about the big men making shots from the outside. So far, it's only been Atabay who scored, 6 points in that first half. Most of them coming off jumpers on that left side of the floor. But everyone else, Berjay is not really the same Berjay that we saw in that first game.
So, check na sana kung yung first phrase lang. Pero may make threes eh.
Right.
Kaso 1 out of 8 lang sila. That's 12% from Marikina from downtown. Here's Joe GDL working with Mark Atabay. Good hands by Bahio. Ball out of bounds in favor of Pampanga. And by the way, just to clear it with everybody, it is JB Bahio. That's how you pronounce his last name. A lot of people pronounce it as Bahio or Bayo. I asked him before this game, okay lang ba sa'yo na nagkakamali yung mga tao? At sabi niya, okay lang po, sige, kayo na bahala. Pero Bahio po talaga. And so, there you have it, folks. As Clemente misses from downtown, ball out of bounds in favor of Marikina.
JLC is one other shooter that you need to come up really big, especially as you go deeper into the playoffs. And you expect JLC to be putting up those numbers eventually in the long run.
Well, Pampanga knows that it's going to get tougher and tougher in the North Division. Wala pang national finals yun.
Right.
I mean, on the other end of the bracket for the North, you have San Juan versus Makati facing each other in the first round.
Right.
Whoever wins that matchup will most likely take on Nueva Ecija in the second round. At saka pa lang nila pwedeng makatapat ang Pampanga in the North Finals.
At saka mabigat dun sa series na yun is the San Juan actually taking control of the first game. I mean, the hottest team so far in the eliminations was Makati, right?
Then again, actually, tama ka dun, Coach Mike, dahil losing streak ang San Juan and then winning streak ang Makati coming into the playoffs.
Right.
John Lloyd Clemente scores inside. Unfortunately for Makati, they gave up that game number 1 to San Juan, and there doesn't seem to be any home court advantage happening for them soon as Jason Strain scores on the other end.
Well, just an open lane right straight to the rack. One of the very few times na malinis yung pagkaka-dribble penetrate para dito sa Marikina, as you normally would have a help side from Pampanga stymieing the attack.
52-37. J.R. Chavez misfires. Ball tapped and recovered by Marikina. There's Natabay. In and out. Balti now gets the board. Baltazar has 18 points and 7 boards. Bahio is fouled.
Boy, when you got Baltazar securing that defensive rebound and pushing that ball 2 dribbles up front, fast break yun on the other end.
This assist is brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming in Tolentino. By the way, he has been doing that all game long already. Tolentino, that's his 4th dime. That's after not even playing in game number 1.
Well, speaking of dimes, Jordan Rios is actually watching today's game, and a happy viewing to you and your mom. I hope you enjoyed the game.
And speaking of dimes, ipasa din natin kay Mika Abesamis.
In the sea of Kapampangans, there is one Cebuano who is JB Bahio. And speaking of sea, nakatira daw siya sa tabing dagat sa kanila sa Olango Island, Cebu, kung saan mahilig daw siyang mangisda. So I asked kung ano ang nakukuha niya sa fishing na pwedeng makatulong sa kanya sa laro niya sa basketball. And he said, yung angle daw ng fishing rod, kailangan may way din. Parang sa long-range shooting niya that he is working on improving lately. Migs, Coach Mike?
Oh my God. I love you, Mika Abesamis, for that report, because this is the perfect commentating tandem to respond to it as engineers who know a lot about trajectories. Okay, expand mo yun, Coach Mike. Fishing onto basketball.
I mean, first of all, I'm a bit surprised about correlating that to fishing and shooting. You know? A very impressive report really by Mika, as always.
Pero Coach, do you agree? Can you imagine it? Because I can.
Yeah.
The way you angle your fishing rod, it's angling your arms, your wrists. Matatranslate mo talaga yan sa basketball as Chavez scores inside. Kaya nga, uso rin yung, ano ba bang sport yung may angle? Like baseball. When you throw a baseball, meron kang instincts from basketball that you can translate onto that sport. Even billiards, by the way.
Oh yeah, lalo na yun.
As MJ Garcia makes a 3-pointer on the other end. Imagine that. Meron na tayong mangingisda sa ating liga as Chavez converts on the other end. Now we're going back and forth.
A little bit back and forth here. Hopefully, Marikina starts to catch a rhythm here. They're down only by 14.
Oh, nice block by Atabay. This is very manageable if you're the Shoemasters. Deo Tibajo onto Mark Atabay, who pulls up and scores.
And so far, that's the thing that's working for Mark Atabay. Medium range jumpers on that baseline side, short corner, really good para dito kay Atabay. And you know, take note, game 1 was actually a really good third quarter para dito sa Marikina.
Right. Can you give us the quarter scoring in game number 1? That's 20-14.
Okay.
It was a late run by Joe GDL and the rest of the blue shirts.
Yeah, in the final 5 minutes, it was actually a 15-6 run in favor of Marikina to close out that quarter.
There's that coast-to-coast play from Mark Atabay, a block and then a jumper. Again, this past week featured the most number of shots attempted by Mark Atabay in his whole basketball career because he had to work on his jumper against Pampanga.
Right now, well, Bahio is on the floor and we're talking about fishing and living along the dagat, katabi ng dagat. Going back to Jordan Rios, curiously, si Jordan pala is also from the same province where I came from.
Okay.
And so we're kind of related. So we traced it back, and so parang it's like a cousin thing. You know.
Well, shout out to Jordan.
Yep.
He's in the 3x3 landscape nowadays. He's come a long way here in the Mpbl. Magandang ehemplo yan para sa mga manlalaro natin, si Jordan Rios. 9 points, 2 boards, 57-44. Those are the numbers by JB Bahio, by the way.
Right.
Timaho, drive and kick. That's Chavez. No bounce for him. Rebound to Allen Liwag. That's a foul on Mark Atabay. No, it's actually a jump ball. Ready na magalit si Coach Elvis Tolentino.
Well, first of all, I like that Atabay actually attempted to steal that ball away from that defensive rebound. At least could possibly give them that possession.
You have a timeout, 13-point lead for Pampanga. Let's talk about J.R. Chavez in game number 1. He scored 12 points and had 6 dimes.
Yeah, importante yung contribution na yan, lalo na those made three-pointers in the third quarter. Really helped his team come back. But again, it's the story of the fourth quarter, the Encho Serrano and the Archie Concepcion show.
There's a miss here by Timaho. Chavez's numbers in this game, 7, 6, and 2. Relatively speaking, his minutes have been increased by Coach Elvis Tolentino. It's looking quite similar to his numbers earlier in the season, as Chavez will now inbound from the baseline. 14 on the shot clock for Marikina. Timaho will go to Atabay. Given a bit of space, Atabay gives it up. Chavez has 7 to work with. There's the pull-up and the make for J.R. Chavez.
Si Atabay rin understanding that that's out of his range, so he had to find shooters from the outside, and thankfully J.R. Chavez was able to respond and knock that ball in.
Kumbaga, mas malapit sa mid-range yung range mismo ni Atabay, no? As Sampang misfires. Rebound Bahio. The Cebuano backing down. Pass inside. Sorry, miss for Sampang. Ball recovered by Timaho.
Ganun sila kahirap na hirap kumuha ng rebound. I mean, they still went through an offensive rebound right there for Pampanga.
This is our point. Even though there's no Balti on the court, you have guys like JB Bahio, Allen Liwag, Archie Concepcion getting these boards.
Right.
Turnover. Counter steal though. Good hands by JB Bahio. Pass inside. Liwag will finish.
Allen Liwag actually doing a good job. Starting off in lieu of Baltazar, and he's making a good account of himself so far in this game.
Those are actually the first 2 points of Allen Liwag, but he has contributed very well on the boards so far. Balik tayo sa Pampanga, up by 13. The scoring in this quarter is 13-14 in favor of Marikina. That's out of bounds. Possession for the Giant Lanterns as Joe GDL returns.
Yeah, they like to call that play number 1 when every time Marikina's on the zone. That's actually like a triangle off and set, where you have that big man showing up on the ball side with the corner and yung wing na may laman. Pero kanina yung pasa ni Archie medyo leading towards the baseline. So nawala yung pasa.
Here's Archie again. He knows about the clock. It's at 8 seconds. Sampang. Back to Archie. Concepcion with a step back. Now on to Bahio. Good hands by Joe. And that's a shot clock violation.
Good defensive stand right there by Marikina. Now you got to start building on that. You're down 13 with under a minute remaining. Get maybe 5 points before we end the quarter, so you get a little bit closer towards the fourth.
Under a minute in the third. Jason Slate on to Mark Atabay. Drive and kick. Back to Straight. 15 on the shot clock. John Melandayan. Jason turns around, fires, air ball. Ball tap. Good hands by Binuya.
Yeah, very active here. Very active hands by the Giant Lanterns. Every time those 50-50 balls, always most part landing on the Pampanga team.
25 seconds before the end of the third. 7 on the shot clock. Raymond Binuya to the corner. Sampang misfires. Rebound Atabay. And here's Joe GDL. He stops. Off to Jomel Landayan. That's a foul committed by Sampang. The fourth team foul of Pampanga.
Grabe yung transition defense ng Pampanga. It almost feels like na every time may tumira na sa kanila, they don't care about the rebound. Minsan may ibang bumababa na, you know. You just have to have one or a couple of guys going for those offensive rebounds. And everyone else just crashing down the floor and getting ready to defend.
Sideline inbound for Joe Gomez de Leano. 9 seconds to go. Landayan will go to Atabay. This time it's a 3. Short. The ball is loose. 1 second to go. Landayan will lose time.
Yeah, and that's it. At the end of the third quarter, we were hoping that there's going to be a run by Marikina, but you know, very forceful pa rin itong Pampanga towards that quarter, 59-46.
Presenting our Suzuki muscular and sporty fans of the game, rightfully so, just like the Avinis. Do more and achieve more with the muscular and sporty scooter from Suzuki, the Avinis. Oras na para magmotor. I wonder what that uniform is for. What group they're a part of. But there does seem to be a handful of people wearing green in this venue. Well, we'll gladly take the Caloocan crowd for later on as Batang Kankalu hosts against Pasig City in game number 2 of their North Division quarterfinal series. Right now, it is Archie Concepcion facing Joe Gomez de Leano in Pampanga versus Marikina. Their numbers so far.
Yeah, a little bit lower than what we expect, but it's really because some of their guys are actually performing much better. And in the case of Joe, he's trying really his best to bring his team back, but you know, shots really not just falling for Joe right now.
Let's check the shooting. It's 2 out of 7 for Joe Gomez de Leano. His 3-point shooting is 0 out of 5 as compared to his 5 out of 12 in game number 1. Archie's at 1 out of 4. Then again, this is pretty normal for Archie Concepcion. He does have 6 dimes to his name.
So kasi siya nagpo-focus. Look at that, scoring by quarters. Third quarter, 13 and 14 lang. Very low, the lowest scoring quarter so far between these two teams. You'd like to think that Marikina is gonna start building on that. Lalo na they got, what, 22 points, I think, in that last third quarter game in the first one. And medyo depensa pa rin ang nagpapahirap dito sa Marikina against Pampanga.
Baseline inbound for MJ Garcia. He goes to Arwin Santos, who scores.
Good setup job, little mini hammer screen right there. Back pick and letting him go down and pick that shot against Berger.
You know, I can't help but wonder if Arwin Santos is now slowly but surely teasing us of what he's about to do for Pampanga. We've seen a basket N1 play, we've seen a 3-pointer, now a 2-pointer. Long way to go in these playoffs for Arwin Santos.
I guess the scariest part is when he secures those defensive rebounds. He can push that ball down the floor, or he can actually dish it from there. Outlet pass.
And again, just his mere presence on the court, it motivates his teammates. Nararamdaman ng Marikina yan, ginaganahan yung apat niyang kakampi. As Mark Atabay just made another jumper.
Kailangan lang talaga may kapartner to si Mark Atabay. He's shooting very well from the field, but so far, can't say the same for RV.
I tell you this though, sabihin natin na hindi man pagpalain ng Marikina sa gabing ito as Neil Tolentino scores inside. Even if they lose this game, Mark Atabay will be able to remember this.
Oh, yeah.
His shooting ability displayed in Caloocan, it might actually translate to more of his skill set next year.
Yeah, and it could introduce a different facet to his game. Now he understands that he got that shot from medium range. Maybe it's time to stretch it out a little bit in order to force guys like Balti Baltasar to cover him from out there. And who would forget yung game winner niya?
Oh yeah, against San Juan.
San Juan, right.
This is the same Marikina program as Chavez visits from downtown. The same program that developed the three-point shot of Marvin Jonicio. Let's see if that story can happen to Mark Atabay.
And almost everybody forgets about how Marvin has, been really that big part of the offensive run para dito sa Marikina. And you're seeing it right now in his college games.
I remember enumerating the losses of Marikina in terms of their roster. Just imagine if they still have Enzo Hoson at the 1, Ives Sazon at the 2, Gerald Anderson at the 3. Then you have Jason Opiso at the 5 with Marvin Jonicio at the 4. That's already a starting 5 for you.
Yeah, yun na lang Opiso at saka si who's the other guy that si Ives. Those guys are pretty solid now. 1-2 na yun. Rebounder and a shooter.
But then again, this is the beauty as well of the program of Coach Elvis Tolentino, who just never backs down to these challenges of developing his young talents. Same goes for Pampanga. Then again, this program of Coach Delta Pineda doesn't only involve the Mpbl, it stretches to their teenager programs. Yung mga under-19 teams ni Gob as RB Berjay just scored for Marikina.
Lawak rin ng spectrum ng development program eh. Kaya makikita mo those who rise up and go to the next level actually are well prepared.
At kaya nga magugulat kami na may isang Cebuano pala sa roster ng Pampanga, no? Ganun pa-special si JB Bahio na naisama siya sa lahat ng mga Kapampangan.
See, that's one thing that you don't want to defend that way against Balti Baltasar. One is just too lengthy. A little bit really good base and keep that pass really low. Madali niya ma-receive yan. The key there is to...
Oh, alley-oop! Nice play to Balti. Sorry to interrupt you right there.
What a good cut right there. But again, going back to that point, you have to pressure the passer and not Balti when he's one pass away, especially on that high post.
66-50 now. Diyan, travel. Napangiti itong si Balti Baltasar. Alam niya eh.
Meron talaga mga dumidepensa ng ganun eh. Yung parating pa lang, feeling mo susupal pa lang.
Now we present to you this exceptional pass of the game brought to you by Boracay de la Ia, the official hotel and resort of the Mpbl. MJ Garcia finding Balti Baltasar, who couldn't throw it down for us, but he will take those 2 points.
Sabi nga ng mga coaches, when you make plays, you gotta keep it simple. And as simple as it is, alley-oop finish for Balti.
Balti now has 20 points with 8 boards and 4 dimes as Joe GDL got the steal in the basket.
And that time around, really good anticipation that ball was gonna land in the hands at the post of Balti Baltasar. Tried to sag off against the corners, able to deflect it. Dito na medyo mahirap ang labanan.
RB Berjay trying to cover Balti. Nice pass to Tolentino. That's a walk.
Pero kita mo yung sobrang maturity ni Balti Baltasar. He waited for that second defender to come before niya pinasa.
It will be a sideline inbound for Anthony White. Balik tayo sa Marikina. Down by 14 with 7 minutes to go. Can we see one last run from the Shoemasters? They have had a very successful season already. Berjay misses. Recovery. And here comes MJ. Garcia all the way for 2 points.
Well, MJ got untouched right there. Coming from the back. Going to the front.
The other end. Tolentino bothered by Balti. Yan yung sinasabi mo.
Yeah, psychological na yung yung depensa eh. Hindi ka pa dumarating, feeling mo there's gonna be a shot block already.
Turnover on the other end.
That was a good ploy, though.
This move is brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming, MJ Garcia, who has given us so many magical shots already in his Mpbl career. Not so magical there, but still 2 points.
I love players who go on a 1-2 stop, 2-foot jump stop inside the paint.
Alam mo, tatalon eh, no?
Oo. Lalo na yun, may lundag na may hops talaga.
Oo. 68-52. Anthony White misfires. Rebound, number 9 for Balti Baltazar. Bumaliktad yung numero ni Balti, no?
Oh, mas marami na yan.
Mas marami yung points.
Mas marami pa rin yung points, right? Compared to the first game.
Yeah, 9 points and 21 rebounds in game 1. How about his dimes? 4 dimes. Had 7 assists in game 1. We have a timeout. 5 minutes and 50 to go. Pampanga's up by 16. Now let's talk about MJ Garcia, who has doubled his season averages. Oh, he did that in game number 1 against Marikina. 13 points, above 50% shooting with 7 boards and 4 dimes. In this game, Coach Mike, ang kanyang mga numero ay
9 points, 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. And he's coming off the bench. He's one of those guys that really contributed well para dito sa Pampanga. 11, 3, and 4 right there. And MJ, talagang taking that challenge on any guard that's put up against him.
Baseline inbound. Arvin Santos against Mark Atabay. 7 on the shot clock. Here's Balti against RV Berjay. Baltazar faking and missing. Takbo tayo sa kabila. JR Chavez. Nice matchup against Binuya. Berjay. Risky pass. Chavez working with Atabay. 11 on the shot clock. JR. Baseline drive. Jason Straight. Too strong. Ball tapped and recovered by Straight.
Boy, Jason's really struggled out on the field.
Chavez misses as well. 3-point shooting has been harsh in this game for Marikina. They're at 2 out of 18. And then it's an easy 2 on the other end for Arvin Santos.
And if you miss from the outside, gotta make it run on the other end. Exactly yan ang ginawa ngayon ng Marikina with Atabay finishing.
Atabay now has 14 points with 8 rebounds and 3 dimes. This is one of his best performances in this season. Baltazar, that's a charge. And he knew it.
Good defense there by RV Berjay. Staying in front.
This assist is brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming. Balti Baltazar, Archie Concepcion. That's Archie's 7th dime, by the way. Onto Arvin Santos, who now adds to his highlight reel. Meron ng 2 easy points sa loob.
Yeah. And we talked about at the top of the coverage, yung depth nitong lineup ng Pampanga. Now you see it really is being performed and being done and shown here in this game.
And again, sa lagay na yan, walang Encho Serrano.
Correct.
Sa game na ito. He's gonna be good to go for their next matchup. So it looks like Pampanga and Encho Serrano in particular is now waiting for either Caloocan or Pasig City.
Yeah, the players are really just, they don't care who gets the credit so long as they get a win. Right now, see Archie Concepcion after, a season high 26 points in the previous year, settling for Balti Baltasar, controlling this match for the most part.
Well, having 7 assists is a win for Archie today.
Yeah.
Here's Balti against Atabay, backing down. Baltazar taking his time, then on the shot clock. He spins and misses. There was a foul on the loose ball. It's on Binuya.
Well, you gotta credit the defense of Atabay right there, not giving up an inch. You know, staying right there. After Balti initiates that contact, he stayed in there. And multiple dribbles for Balti Baltasar on the post is already a win for you. Normally yan, mga 2 to 3 dribbles, pass or tira na yan. But if you get more dribbles above that, you know, medyo nahihirapan ng konti to diskarte.
Nakakasira din ng momentum.
Yeah, momentum and rhythm, right.
4 minutes to go in game number 2. Tibajo misses. Here's MJ Garcia. Balti, by the way, now has a double-double. Nothing new there with 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 dimes to his name as Archie gets fouled.
Yun ang mahirap kay Archie. You know, going right, ang lakas ng katawan. You know, if you put him on the left side of the floor, he drives middle. It's the same thing altogether. And so you have to be able to really stick it up to him defensively and make him turn his back, even on the wing. Pero kung patatayuin mo lang siya na nakikita diretso yung rim, medyo mahirap. You can't sag off of him. You have to be staying really close and make him very uncomfortable as he put that ball on the floor.
Archie just missed his first free throw, though. He's 3 out of 4 from the stripe. 5 points, 2 boards, and 7 dimes to his name. Archie had 26 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists in game 1. Timajo will now take a breather. It's Chavez who's working with RV Berjay, Joe GDL, Jason Strait, and Mark Atabay. Chavez dancing with Arwin. Tough shot on the fall away. No conversion, but Atabay is there for the cleanup.
You know what made that shot tough? Is si Arwin Santos yung nasa harap niya. Yung switch medyo mahirap na yun eh.
16 points with 9 boards in this game for Atabay. MJ, nice one too.
He's gliding himself going left.
13 points in this game for MJ. That actually matches his game 1 output. Out of bounds on the other end off of that shot by Atabay, and we have a timeout courtesy of Governor Coach Dennis Delta Pineda. They're up by 17 with 3 minutes and change remaining in game number 2. We take a look at that beautiful right to left sidestep and the layup from MJ Garcia, bringing us onto this lucky fans of the game brought to you by Nexus 88 Gaming. Shout out to these Caloocan supporters who later on will be very much alive inside their sports complex as Batang Kankalu will host against Pasig City in game number 2 of their North Division quarterfinal series. Pampanga is looking like the first team that will advance to the North Division semifinals. They will await the victors between Caloocan and Pasig. That's a walk on Armin Santos.
Well, after what? After 8 quarters so far, it's only been the 3rd quarter where really Marikina put up a good fight in the first game.
By the way, if I may go back to that narrative of maybe a possible Mark Pingris versus Arwin Santos angle, imagine a Gabi Espinas going up against Arvin Santos
Yeah,
in the
that
second
too.
round.
That too, right.
That's very much possible. But Gabby, if they do advance, of course, he will be minding Balti Baltazar as well.
Yeah. And not if Jason Ballesteros has something to say about
Right.
it too, right?
That second game is going to be very good tonight. Anthony White just missed for Marikina. Approaching the last 2 minutes in game number 2. I have a question for you. What impressed you the most about Marikina's campaign this season?
Well, I like that, you know, yung three-pointer, they use that as a key weapon. I like how they put up their offensive screens. I like offenses that actually have ball movement and man movement. And we saw that early in the eliminations para dito sa Marikina and them putting up a really good fight. But, you know, it really is a different story if you get into the playoffs and you're getting the #1 team from the north, speaking of the Giant Lanterns.
This was actually the same story for Marikina last year. It was already a big achievement for them to have achieved that #8 spot in the north, much like this year. Because last year was their first playoff appearance, and this year, remember, they had to outlast the Bataan Risers in that race to the 8.
They got a little help from Bataan too for them getting here. That was actually a close game, close battle between those two teams in the claim for the 8th final spot.
Sabale all the way for 2 points. Gotta give a big shout out to these Shoemasters who have come a long way, proving themselves in the Mpbl. That's why we keep on talking about their potential.
Yeah, might be a good time to take out Balti now. This game pretty much secured and you're moving to the next round. But look at Coach Elvis Tolentino. Continues to be coaching and, you know, getting into these situations and telling his guys what to do.
These are 90 golden seconds for Silas Zabale and the rest of these Shoemasters. He talked about Balti as a possible substitution out of this game. Well, ang tinawag ni Coach Delta ay si Raymond Binuya. So, medyo malabo. Napapalitan niya ay si Balti. Pero, malay natin. Baka lang naman.
Baka naman mag-go small.
Pwede rin. Arvin at the 5, di ba?
Arvin at the 5.
That's gonna be interesting.
Naka 4 out, tapos yung big man mo na si Arvin.
Sino nga bang papalitan? Steve Tolentino. So, Balti is still on the floor. Arvin is still on the floor. With Binuya, NJ Garcia, and Archie Concepcion. Here's Balti working with Archie. Concepcion. The pass to Arvin. Back to Archie. Up top to Binuya. 80 seconds remaining in game number 2. That's tapped away. Possession for Pampanga. Pasok dito si Silas Zabale.
Yeah, very rarely do you see that blitz of a two-man game para dito sa Marikina defensively. Primarily because they've been always single coverage.
Santos with a handoff. Binuya going left. Balti asking for his teammates to cut. And there's Archie Concepcion who converts.
And that's how they really played Balti Baltasar in the first game. Using him as a hub to facilitate the offense with guys moving around.
Iba rin yung perspective ni Balti, no? That he's just at the post, holding the ball up high and looking at everybody else. Actually, looking down at everybody else.
At saka feeling ko mas komportable siya na nakukuha niya yung bola from up top around the elbow extended area because mas maganda yung vision niya kaysa sa low post when you only have the post split on one side and the dive on the other as your primary, I guess, source of assist.
Well, that's a sorry miss for Jason Strait. And here comes Steve Tolentino on the run with Balti. Alley-oop! It's a Balti jam!
And boy, I guess that's the reason why he wasn't taken out. Because he's got to do that first.
And that was Neil Tolentino's idea and plan all along. He actually botched the pass. It was a bit too weak. And tumama pa sa ring. O, tamo, si Neil ngayon nilalaban sa atin, assist yun. That might just be a miss, Neil.
Right.
The ball hit the rim.
Yeah.
There's the putback slam.
really had no intentions of making the layup.
Oh, come on, Neil. You gotta do better than that. He has been teammates with Balti since his high school days. So that's obviously a lot of chemistry already between those two.
I guess that was a business decision whether he wanted the assist or the point. So I guess he gets the assist.
Magaling kay Neil, marunong mag-PR. Pinapag-usapan yung statistics people natin. 78-61. Down to the last 30 seconds for Pampanga versus Marikina. So the Pampanga Giant Lanterns will be the first team to advance to the North Division semifinals. And they will wait for the winner between Caloocan and Pasig City. Arwin Santos from downtown.
Oh boy. A slam from Balti and a 3 from Arwin. What more could you ask for from the Pampanga team?
Much like how we ended game number 1, it's an Arwin Santos 3-pointer as the last field goal recorded in the ball game. And so congratulations to these Giant Lanterns. Congratulations to Coach Delta Pineda. And we want to say this clearly, congratulations as well to the Marikina Shoemasters who came a long way in the 5th season of the Mpbl.
And it's a tall order to be going up against the only team, and the number 1 team in the north, rather, speaking of Pampanga. And I'd like to say that Coach Delta also did his homework on how to attack and make this a better game for Balti Baltasar compared to how he did in the first match.
Well, in the words of Balti Baltazar, when he was still waiting at the bench at the start of this matchup, gigil na raw siya pumasok. Gusto niya lang talaga maglaro sa game number 2. This is a no-brainer, folks. Our Nexus 88 Gaming Player of the Game. Sino pa ba? It's the guy who recorded another double-double with 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists.
Well, it's actually just another day in the office, but him coming off the bench and getting a really good flow into today's match, finding teammates, running the open floor, getting rebounds, and finishing with slams towards the end.
What a nice last field goal for this game. A testament before he proceeds to the second round to face either Gabby Espinas or Jason Ballesteros. I'm sure these Giant Lanterns will be scouting as well here in the Caloocan Sports Complex for our second game. There's a long way to go, especially for Pampanga, as they try to gun for their first ever Mpbl title. Remember, folks, wala pang nagba-back-to-back and 2 titles here in our league. And so, Coach Dennis Delta Pineda and Balti Baltazar are now with Mika Abisamis.
I am with the very happy Governor Delta Pineda and of course Justin Balti Baltazar with me right now. Gov, eto na, one task done. On to the next. Ang tanong ko lang, magpapahinga pa ba muna yung boys or tuloy-tuloy lang po ang practice habang nag-aantay ng sunod na kalaban?
I think mahaba-haba yung yung next game. So baka bigyan ko muna ng break yung mga bata. Ayoko munang masunog yung mga players ko.
Gov, ano po yung isang naging bagay dito sa larong ito compared to the first game na talagang nagustuhan nyo?
Like what I said to you, di ba? Kailangan kami mag-adjust sa depensa. So, yun naman. At maganda naman yung ginalaw ng mga bata. At na-control namin.
Gov, ano pong gusto nyo sabihin sa mga Kapampangan na tuluyang sumusuporta sa Pampanga Giant Lanterns?
Sa lahat po ng mga Kapampangan, lalo na yung mga nagpunta pa ho from Pampanga na manonood dito, maraming salamat ho. Sa lahat ho ng supporter namin na nanonood ngayon, alam ko ang dami ho natin viewers dahil sa mga Kapampangan. Dakal salamat kayo. At sana pag-prayo kami po na alampasan tayo po yung second round.
Maraming salamat po, Governor Delta Pineda. Balti, mas lumabas yung laro mo this game kesa nung unang game, ano? At isa to sa mga naging susi para masaran nyo na talaga itong series na to. Anong nasa isip mo ngayong gabi?
Noong last game, siyempre, wala yung laro ko. So, kailangan kong bumawi ngayon sa game 2. So, yun, maganda yung pinakita ng team namin. Lalo na ako, yung laro ko ngayon. Hindi ko rin makagagawa itong laro, pinakita ko dahil sa mga teammate ko. Yun lang.
Balti, anong gusto mo sabihin sa supporters mo na tuluyang sumusuporta sa'yo?
Yun na, maraming salamat, lalo na sa mga Kapampangan, yung mga nagpunta pa dito mga Kapampangan, maraming salamat sa mga suporta.
This player of the game is brought to you by Nexus Gaming 88. Migs, Coach Mike?
Thank you, Mika. And congratulations again to the Pampanga Giant Lanterns for advancing to the second round of our Mpbl playoffs. They will await the victors between Pasig City and the Caloocan Batang Kankalu in their very own game number 2 in the North Division quarterfinals. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. For Mika Besames and Coach Mike Perez, my name is Migs Gomez. And thank you for watching your Mpbl 2023 playoffs. Ito po ang Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League, ang liga ng bawat Pilipino. And again, big shout out as well to J.R. Chavez, Mark Atabay, and the rest of the Marikina Shoemasters who have proven so much in the 5th season of our league. You have a guy like Marvin Janicio blossoming in the program of Coach Elvis Tolentino. He has brought his talents back to his college coach in Louis Gonzalez. But his teammates have continued to fight with the best of their abilities. They have stepped up. Ayan, sina Joe Gomez de Liano, he has come a long way. Even scored 22 points in game number 1 against Nin Tolentino, Balti Baltazar, and the rest of the Pampanga Giant Lanterns. Unfortunately, Marikina will fall short, but I'm sure that the progress will continue for their program up until the 6th season of the Mpbl. As for Arvin Santos, who again drained a 3-pointer as the last field goal of our game, he will be going to the second round to face a couple more familiar foes here in the Mpbl. A great game for the former player of Governor Dennis Delta Pineda. That's Coach Elvis Tolentino. Magkasama sila apparently dati sa Pampanga. And there you see the final score, 81-61 in favor of the Pampanga Giant Lanterns, winning in 2 games against the Marikina Shoemasters in their quarterfinals series. It is only the beginning of your Mpbl Friday here in Caloocan. As you can see now, Batang Kankalu is warming up against Pasig City. It's been a while since we have seen a crowd like this inside the Caloocan Sports Complex, and so we are definitely expecting a lot of energy for our second game. This is a game that actually featured a game winner in game number 1, courtesy of Gabby Espinas. And they are considered as dark horses as well in the North Division. You never know, one of these teams might actually give a big challenge to the Pampanga Giant Lanterns in the semifinals. Now we turn you over to our press conference.
You managed to win the game. Gaano kasaya yung pakiramdam ninyo ngayon and sa buong team?
Masaya po at kasi yung adjustment na ginawa namin itong nakaraang linggo, napakita naman ng mga bata. So yung mga, especially on defense, na-control namin yung mga scorer nila nung previous game. Medyo na-limit namin ngayon. So, ang laking bagay na rin po. And then sa offense, yung pa rin naman. Although binigyan ko pa rin ng chance yung mga ibang player, you can see, hindi ko kagad ginamit muna si Justin kasi kailangan kong mag-step up yung mga ibang players ko going to the next round.
Justin, kahit panalo kayo nung game 1, 9 points lang na-score mo, di ka masyadong nakakuha ng bola. So ano yung naiba ngayong game 2? At kaya naka-score ka na mas marami ngayon?
Siyempre, teammating kami nung katapos ng game 1. Yun nga, kulang ako sa bola. So yun, pinlano namin na kailangan bigyan ako ng bola para lumuwag din yung mga guards namin. So yun, nakabawi ako ngayong game 2. Nakita ko na hindi lang ako, pati mga teammates ko, maganda yung nilaro ngayon.
Bob, sabi mo last time, gusto niyo na kunin to para makapagpahinga yung mga So nangyari na. Gaano naman katagal yung bibigay niyo yung break sa kanila? 1 day, 2 days?
Ilang days pa ba yung next game natin? Is on 27 pa di ba? Ano pala tayo ngayon?
13 pa lang.
13. Baka 3 days yung rest namin.
3 days rest.
Ano muna? Kasi dapat tansyahin pa rin namin yung mga bata, yung ayoko masunog, sabi ko nga, ayokong masunog yung mga bata sa bugbog sa game.
Bob, given a choice, so paghihintay na lang kayo, di ba?
Opo.
Between Pasig and Caloocan.
Ay, parehas pong mabigat yan. Second round na po tayo. During playoff, hindi po tayo pwedeng magtiwala rito. Tignan nyo nga itong first round natin, kung gaano kahigpit itong nakalaban namin, Marikina. Sabi ko nga, nung kinakausap ko yung mga bata, ang attitude ng Marikina, hindi susuko yan. Up to the end, hindi titigil yan. Babanggain tayo niyan, depensa yan. Yun ang ibibigay nila. So, this second round, parehas yan. Mahirap kalaban. At balanced team din sila. So, kahit sino, kung pwede nga wala na sa kanila, okay lang sana eh. Kaso nasa kanilang dalawa yung makakalaban. Either of the two, kailangan kami maghanda.
Kay Balti, yung double-double parang napaka-easy sa'yo eh. How about triple-double naman?
Triple-double. Parang mahirap na yata yun.
Malapit ka sa assist din eh. Lumalapit ka rin eh.
Siguro pag sinwerte lang yung mga guards ko, magandang mga pasa, yun.
Despite na napanatili natin yung lamang throughout the game, napakahigpit pa rin ng depensa natin. Ano yung hinabili natin sa mga bata?
Sinabi ko nga sa kanila, preparation sa display of, mag-focus muna kami on defense. Marami kasi nagsasabi yung opensa parang ang bilis sa amin. So ayokong doon pumasok yung mindsetting ng mga players ko. Still, we need to focus on defense. Yun ang magdadala sa amin sa next round. Yun ang nagdala sa amin sa next round. Yun din ang magdadala sa amin sa championship, yung depensa namin.
Coach, pansin po namin hindi naglaro si Encho Serrano. So any update po kung ano yung nangyari sa kanya?
Na-hospital yan eh. After the game, na-hospital. So 2 days to 3 days na sa hospital. Ano pa lang, mga 2 days pa lang nakakalabas sa hospital. Kaya sabi ko, wag muna. Pahinga muna.